Hello!
Hi guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us. This is a very special developer stream. As today we unveil 4.4 update for World of Tanks console. My name is Rybot01, Community Manager for World of Tanks console. And with me I have Jeff Gregg, Lead Game Designer of World of Tanks console, aka Inline UR Chuji.
Correct.
Yes.
Hello everyone. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's gonna be great. We are actually simulcasting both Facebook and Twitch.
Oh, sweet Mother McCoy.
Yeah, we have two different crews which we will be able to pull answers from, or not answers, questions.
Yeah, let's ask them. What is the caliber size of the... Anyway.
There we go.
Yeah.
Done. So yeah, we're gonna go through the 4.4 build notes, and we're gonna be answering your questions. A couple of things.
How long has 4.4 been out? It's been like hours, right?
Yeah, just a couple hours.
That's exciting.
This is making too much noise. There you go.
How dare you?
How dare you, bracelet?
I'd take off mine, but wow, my hands are dirty. Right. Anyway, dirty hands.
Yeah, for the update, we usually had a 2-hour downtime. It exceeded that, so we were able to credit our premium holders for both Xbox and PlayStation 24 hours. It wasn't really a credit, it was an extension of your current premium time. So in order for you to see it reflected in your account, you must log out and then back in. A couple of other bugs that we found. We're tracking a couple that were shared in the forums, and it was regarding some of the marks of excellence, emblems not showing correctly on War Stories Garage. We're taking a look at that. We've only received one report, but if you encounter that issue, please let me know and we'll add it to our current investigation.
Yeah, no kidding. Those marks of excellence are hard fought, hard won. I'd be a little upset, but they're there. Like if you go into battle, like you didn't lose them, they're just not showing up in the garage.
Yeah. And we are gonna do a couple follow-ups for the garage slot issue that we had in game earlier today. So we're gonna follow up in the forums. Please, more information on that. So just keep an eye on the
Sorry,
forums.
laughing. Issue. Yeah. Well, things happen, right? Every time you do a version update, you do the best you can. I actually thought it was pretty solid comparatively. Like, if not to beat ourselves up, but if you look at some old versions, this one was smooth sailing, right?
Yeah, so, there hasn't really been a lot of bugs that were reported. But yeah, I mean, even though it was kind of like a small, slow, quiet update, there was a lot of content that was introduced that if you look at the build notes, you are going to be like, well, there's a lot of changes. So do you want to go through your questions that you had on your phone, or should we just go ahead and tackle this?
Well, let me hit the big 3 that I got on my phone, just because, yes, I'm cheating on my phone. By the way, it's super thick because my phone's battery is now officially a potato. Like I know you can actually make a battery out of a potato, and if I did that, it'd probably last longer. So I bought one of those like aftermarket batteries just so my phone doesn't die in the middle of stuff like this.
Potato.
So that's why you're like, what kind of, is your phone from 1983, man? That would probably last longer before it needed to be plugged into a wall. All right, first one I want to just come right at it because, man, as much as I don't like talking about this stuff, it happens, is the map reduction. Honestly, in order to make this update and all of the data fit in, we did have to reduce the maps again. Didn't want to do it, didn't like doing it, had to do it to get this 4.4 out, but I have good news. We know for sure how to get them all back into 4.5, so this is a temporary measure. This isn't some sort of devious thing to slowly pull content. We work really hard on this content. We're not trying to like do a bunch of effort and then just yank it out from underneath everybody. So in 4.5, that will be back. I know it's a little odd to launch a 4.4 announcement with you're gonna get some cool stuff back in 4.5. It is the truth, it is honest, and I like to be honest with all of you guys and gals as much as I can. I will also emphatically say that it was not War Stories that made us reduce these maps.
Thank you for saying that, because players are saying in the forums like, it was War Stories, we know it. Like, guys, that's not true. I'm gonna let Jeff Gregg say it.
It's a good example. I think it's the Connoisseur is a variant on Heilbronn, which I call Heilbro. So like pulling out maps wouldn't matter because all of that content is shared across multiple experiences. So even though it is modified and unique, like in order to save any room, we have to pull out a lot of similar content. But that's all coming back, and it's not War Stories that make us do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, just a reminder, the maps that were pulled out were Redshire, 1944, Northwest, Windstorm, Tundra, and Tundra Winter.
Yes, and we have, I believe, I don't remember the technical term, but the problem that required that to happen is either already addressed or will be addressed by 4.5, and that stuff's coming back. So that's number one. Sorry about that. Enjoy all the new content. Please have patience for the maps that are coming back. There's still a ton of maps, right?
Yes.
Like, I know it never feels good to be like a map you really like to be gone, to be told like, but there's other stuff. But it is kind of a fact. I mean, there's a lot of maps to play. You should have a good time there. The next thing is, the King Dragon, the 59 King Dragon did get a 105 in this release. And also, yes, the King Dragon is not currently on sale and acquirable, so that change will only be something you experience in the short term if you have a King Dragon 105, which you have now, right? We did that because it does not have premium matchmaking like the other Chinese 59, and so it has to fight tier 10s. And after looking at the data and the analysis, the gun change, which also changes the behavior because it hits harder and shoots less. It was something that after talking to Pain God and a lot of the guys, we decided to do and move forward. That is in there now. I can also say that the tank will be on sale again, but I can't say when because I don't have control of that. But if you already have the King Dragon, enjoy your 105.
When you say you looked into data, can you be a little bit more specific about what things you look into when you make buffs or nerfs on a tank? That was a lot of feedback that was received today in the forums from players saying, what did you use to base that decision on the King Dragon?
So with the King Dragon, we looked at, first of all, I encourage anyone who hasn't seen it yet, and I'm not just trying to pimp myself, because I'm not that enthused with myself. If you can ignore the ugly dude in the corner in these videos, the balance video that I believe is on YouTube, question mark, is that correct? Check it out. That'll give you a really high level of the process I'm about to describe really quickly. We looked at the King Dragon in terms of how many people were using it, what were the skill level of those people using it, how did it perform when they were in a max tier 8 match versus a max tier 10 match. What was the efficacy of the tank? How quickly did it live? How many shots did it pen? How many shots did it take before it finally was succumbed to death? To be dramatic about it.
Before it was destroyed.
And we sliced all of that data and then we compared it to the 59 that was already out there. Along the same time period, because that also can give us an aggregate of data that's kind of apples to apples or more apples to apples than the entire lifespan of the previous 59, which does have premium matchmaking, versus the King Dragon, which does not. And then, again, fast forwarding a lot of the stuff we do with all of that data or what the specifics of those data is. Again, watch that video if you're really curious. We compared and then looked at a bunch of different options on changes to either tank or just one tank, including changing nothing, to see what might move the needle. Once we decided for the gun swap, which was, I'm not going to lie to you, was very controversial within the studio. I actually think there was some like borderline screaming matches. I'm not going to name names, but there was a lot of people. It was like, oh, flipping the table, like, what are we doing? We're idiots. Versus, no, it's the right choice. And heads cracking against each other. And then we checked it with Super Test. And even that was controversial. I'm also not going to name names in Super Test, but there were some people that says, this is awesome, but increase its rate of fire. And then other people were like, you're insane. Don't increase its rate of fire. So we take all of that, that's subjective analysis, right? It's qualitative analysis versus the quantitative data that we put in with the gun change. Wrote a version updater, it's out. We're gonna keep watching the tank because like right now it's brand new. We just said 4.4's been out for hours.
Yep.
We're gonna see if we're successful. We're watching the forums on people's responses, but then the numbers are what really matter. Not that I'm discounting your opinions, but like that is where you test were you right from a numerical quantitative aspect. One of the things that's really interesting is we get a lot of really awesome feedback, both in our forums, in Facebook, YouTube channel comments, Reddit, like all of the places where people can talk to us, PMs, all that kind of stuff, Twitter. But then you, no matter how much of that data comes in, that's a very small percentage of the people that are actually playing these vehicles. So that's why the numbers also really matter. So you can see what exactly is this doing per mode, per match, per battle tier, so on and so forth. And that's what that is.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Sure, that was a lot of me talking, but like I hope that gives you.
That's what you're here for.
Yeah, just sit down and talk, Jeff.
I will release you from the chains until.
I'm out. I'd just run away if you did that.
Drag the table with
I'm
you.
literally chained to the table. I could probably pull it.
Yes.
Sidebar: I watched the Warriors movie. There's a scene where one of the guys gets handcuffed to the park bench in Central Park in New York, and he starts dragging it with him. Just a little flashback from your chain to the table.
Might happen after this drink. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe I can get 3 bottles instead of that. Yeah, I think that's all I got. The other ones are just announcements.
Oh, no, weren't you gonna? Before we go into the bill notes, don't you want to talk about the winner of Tank Madness?
Oh, can we talk about that?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, we should. Totally
All right,
talk
all
about
right.
that.
So the winner of Tank Madness, after a very controversial, and I only use controversial because I was lurking on not all of our venues for getting feedback, but a lot of them. And it looks like, and as a surprise to nobody, Team China. Team China's our winner.
To me that was a shocker. But then, what just happened on the recent weekend when it was U.S. versus Sweden? It was literally just numbers. I'm guarantee you that if we actually look
It was literally numbers.
Numbers, but I mean numbers so close that I could taste the win. And dang it, U.S. won, and I was so sad. But I knew it was going to happen again this weekend. And look at that. We ran a poll on Twitter asking players to please share who they thought the win was going to be, for nationality. And 32%,
Who won the poll?
32% said U.S.
Okay.
32% said Germany. And France ended up in 3rd place, and then China on 4th.
Oh, the underdogs. I love the underdogs.
That was kind of a little bit of a shocker, but it happened. And then players are going in the forum saying, it's fake news, recall, count the votes again. And
Honest question, maybe to our players, maybe to you.
oh, God.
Like, if we did fake that, we didn't. What would we gain from that? Like, I'm trying to figure out,
Yeah.
I love being nefarious. That's a joke. But, I don't understand what we as a company would gain by faking that.
Not only that, I mean, the Hammer was a lower tier tank. If players, because it seemed like majority of them wanted Germany to win.
Okay.
But it would have been the Hammer. The Hammer is a tier 7, and then every other nationality had a tier 8 tank. And of course, because it's China, they're going to get the Legion, and it's a great tank. Do you want to put it on screen?
I will
so
put the Legion on screen.
Yeah, so players can look at it in very fancy.
I believe this is your account, yes?
Yes.
I've filtered out to be all of your Chinese tanks. Well, a subset of your Chinese tanks. It's not all of them.
Well, I've used the King Dragon quite
Here,
a few times.
I'll do
but-
the slow pan.
Oh, well, do the shoulder thing, so you can see the.
The shoulder thing.
Yeah, press this one.
Oh,
There you go.
that's what you need. All right.
There we go.
Ooh. Yeah, this is a sexy tank.
It is a really nice looking tank.
You know what I always do with this tank, though? I try to haul down, and then that commander's hatch just eats shells. So I could be better with this tank, but it is a sexy tank. I like this tank.
What?
I like the Chinese line. Oh, I put on emblems. I was spending money in your account when you weren't looking. I was
God,
applying
you're just
permanent
worse
emblems.
than Leo.
You know what? I
so
looked
much
at you have
money.
this black and white tank. I thought right there. I put that nice heart earth. I believe that was 200-year gold I consumed, and then this skull right there. I put that on there for you as well.
Yeah, tiny earth heart, and then a beautiful skull up front.
You know,
Great.
yeah. You know what? Planet
then-
Earth good, human beings bad. That's what I'm saying in this tank right there.
Awesome.
So there you go.
All right. Don't forget that if you have questions for Jeff Gregg, please drop them on chat either on Facebook or Twitch, and we'll answer your questions.
One last thing, really quick, before
Sure.
we leave Chinese victory. I like saying it that way. It is not a numbers game. Like the bigger your team does not mean you're more likely to succeed. If anything, that might actually work against you depending on the caliber of people on your team. It's all about how skilled and how well you're doing on the team you're on. So if we did it as a pure numbers game, the most popular nations would always win, right?
Yeah.
Just because they'd be played more. What we want to do is look for people with skill using the nation they want to champion and having a chance to make that a real thing. So congratulations, everyone who played the Chinese line. You did good.
Yeah, and thank you to everyone who participated on Tank Madness.
Absolutely.
The numbers were insane. Participation was high, and it was all in good fun. Players were able to belong to a specific nation and then play with each other for a common cause.
Yes.
Even if your nation did not win, wait until next year.
Yeah, well, I was on Team Sweden in that bracket, and I remember being in my siege tank,
my heart.
aiming at another Swedish tank, going like an enemy, going like, oh. no, I gotta kill you. I'm sorry. I hope you got some kills before I wasted you so that we can both progress. But yeah.
You're like, no, and just send messages. I'm sorry, bro.
I'm sorry. Go Sweden.
Anyway, okay, as we mentioned, 4.4 was released this morning, and for new features, we have War Story Spoils of War. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
I do. I was about to go up on screen, but it's not on screen.
Oh.
Spoils of War is 3 single chapter war stories, which is different than previous war stories we've done, which has always been
Yes.
1 3-chapter war story. The reason we did that is it's near the end of World War II from an American, a German, and a Russian tanker's perspective. And they have a very unique perspective on basically war sucks in real life. That's a surprise to no one, I'm really hoping. And what are they going to do when they're reaching that end game and they're tired, they're embattled? I'm hoping it's really interesting from a story perspective. There's a lot of trying to save antiquities or trying to save human lives, civilian lives. And you know what? I also appreciate if you're like, stories are cool, but do I get to blow some cool stuff up? Yes, you do. You get to be, the American one is the Wormwood, which is a Hellcat, which is, oh man, I love the Hellcat. It's one of my favorite TDs. The Russian line, you get to be a really, really high tier SPG. So if you want to practice your SPGs, go on in there and check it out. I believe that's Potemkin is the name of that one.
Yes, and which is really cool because we don't have SPGs on war stories that much. And
We do now.
Yeah, we do now, and players have been asking, like, just kind of mix them up a bit, and that, I think this is a great opportunity.
You know what's interesting is putting in an SPG into a war story. When we first did it, we're like, this is a great idea. And then when we first did it, which was literally a clone of one of the Russian artillery, it's like, yeah, I'm going to go make a sandwich. Because you're supposed to be the hero of a war story. It's not a 15 on 15. So, like, cards on the table, and you'll figure this out really quick when you go in there. We buffed the bejesus out of that tank so that you can fire much more, you can actively engage with the game more often and save your friends and protect bases and protect human beings. Those story tanks cannot be used in multiplayer, so that's where we have some liberties to really show off the functionality of the tank, if not be completely accurate with the multiplayer balance. Gives you a chance to be the hero. That's what war stories are for.
All right. Tim Kins, he's asking where is his tank. Apparently you promised him a Hellcat. Did you promise him a Hellcat?
Is that back from, that's back from Extra Life. That was Extra Life.
Oh my God. Okay, I will give you your Hellcat. Apologies for the very, 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 very late
Can't
delay.
give him a tech tree tank.
Oh my God.
That's why I haven't given it to him. Although, go play War Stories and you can get the Wormwood, which is your free Hellcat. There you go.
God.
I'm going to work it around. That whole War Story is created for you. This is a joke. That's not literally why we made that War Story. But there you go. Now I can literally say you have access to a free Hellcat.
And he's saying, where's my premium Hellcat?
Oh, that's right. The
yeah.
Tabby Jammer, which is not what the Tabby Jammer is.
Oh, well.
Let's not talk about the Tabby Jammer.
Now you need to put in a ticket for that. Elko1960, do you consider adding smoke grenades for Artie, for example, maybe at a later time?
We have actually considered smoke shells, actually, unless you literally mean a crew member throwing a grenade out of one of the vehicles. There's been a couple, there's been pro cons on that. The biggest one right out of the gate is visibility in World of Tanks is one of the hardest things to describe to even pros, if not new players, because of all of the checks we do in terms of crew skills, the tank's inherent visibility, the tank's inherent spotting system, concealment through camouflage. Are you between, is a bush between you and the person who has the potential to spot you? How close or how far is that person? Adding smoke in some ways might actually make that easier because smoke, I can't see through smoke, I get it. But man, it's gonna add yet another factor to that whole algorithm and make it a little bit muddier. We haven't actually considered it specifically for Arties only. It's been more like how would we make a smoke shell or any kind of smoke system work within the game. And we haven't found anything that is fair and honestly fun that we've been happy with to ship yet. So yeah, we have considered it. Nothing on the table that we're like, make that happen.
It also comes with the feedback that we receive from players saying that low visibility on the
Storm
stream,
variants.
yeah, storm variants.
Yes.
So it does affect gameplay. So I mean, well, it's up to you guys. You are the design team. Like,
Do what you're gonna do, design
you,
the
do
game.
you.
Fair enough, we'll do that.
couple players from the forums ask, what's the update or the status of the RD camera?
Oh, I'm assuming they mean the RD camera that's in the PC version,
yeah.
where it's more like shell camera.
Yes.
Working on it, actively working on it. Can't give you a release date. One of the challenges, so if you're playing controller, this clicks in the default, don't know what control scheme you have, clicking the right stick zooms you in and out with sniper and in a strategic, and even in arcade cam, which are the 3 cams we currently support. What the PC version does with the camera you're talking about, it has a really nice mouse wheel for smooth zooming. We're trying to figure out how to make that either like, do you hold down a button and do the analog stick? Do you have like 8 million clicks? Is it only 2 clicks? Do we have a computer algorithm that finds the right zoom level for you? It's rarely the right one because we can't predict exactly what you want. We're looking at all those variables. And until we get the system implemented, until how we're satisfied with it and work out all these kinks, it won't be ready to go yet.
Another question, damage counter in-game for ribbons. You know how players have been asking to have that added?
Damage counter. Block damage, damage sent down range.
Or just overall damage. They want to see the amount of damage that they inflict in a match.
Real time versus
yeah.
just in the PBRS.
Yes.
Interesting.
thinking?
Nothing like that's being worked on right now.
Okay.
There's a lot of rods in the fire. That is not one of them. Sorry.
Terry Lawrence just said tacos. Good for you. Dwight Brown, what about the Patton Turret? What about it? Are you asking for a buff, for an upgrade?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
You just have it in screen. There you go.
There you go.
Dun,
There's
dun,
a
dun,
Patton
dun.
Turret. We can even do. We're looking at the screen. It's not on
Yes.
your screen, but like.
Oh, there you go. Now it is.
Yeah. There it is. The 59 Patton's turret. I would need more detail on what you mean specifically
Yes.
about that, and I'm sorry
Please.
for not knowing instantaneously what you mean.
Question from Sinosach, who is actually one of our Wargaming Online participants, so shout out to him. Can we see an upgrade to the mini-map similar to that of PC, where we can get more feedback on them about where an enemy was last located?
Oh, so like I spot a foe. I have my team no longer has visibility on the foe, but this was the last location that said foe was known to be.
Dun, dun, dun.
That is
For
something.
scouters.
That is something actually we've been looking into. We've even been looking into should it be confined just to the minimap, or should we put like a little ghost tank in 3 space, or would people think that's an active foe and start shooting at nothingness? Stuff that we have looked at, stuff that we haven't prioritized because of these other features in vehicles and all this good stuff we've made. It is definitely something we've been talking about. What is interesting to have that come up right now is if you combine that with smoke grenades, and now you have like a ghost behind a smoke grenade or like a ghost like icon behind like a smoke, that's something else we'd have to, smoke shell, sorry, grenades stuck in my head, just call them grenades. Yeah, those would have to play together obviously, right, if we did either or both of those, but nothing like that right now.
Deco Nowhere is clarifying, he means the redesigned Patton Turret on PC, if and when we're getting it.
So there is a bunch of vehicle stuff in the pipe, which includes stuff we want to do to vehicles and stuff we're inheriting from PC edits that are all being log jammed into a version coming very soon. That will be a huge discussion, not just the Patton Turret, but you name it, it's being considered. That'll probably be rolled in with that, but that's as specific as I can get on that right now.
Oh, a player just reported, it seems to be there's an issue with save to photos. I screen cap it. Can platoon lead passing be fixed? Right now on Xbox One, you can only do it once. So we're going to write a ticket for that, and we'll do a quick follow-up.
Bug it.
Bug it. There we go.
That sounds like functionality we lost, which makes me sad.
Yeah, that would make a cat very, very sad.
Boo.
For new features, we have base capture redesign. So how long did the design team have to work on it to kind of evaluate and implement?
A full milestone, a full version. It went through a couple iterations. We actually found some issues with some of the game modes where the size of the base actually was influencing all of the HUD elements. We had to iron out a lot of those details. That's all in an effort to make it more consistent and unified and easier to understand. So yeah, what you're currently looking at now is from a previous milestones iteration, which was 4 or 6 weeks. I'm going to say 6 weeks. 6 weeks. There you go.
Done. What about the common crew portraits? I think it was beginning of the year when Pain God was here for a dev stream. He said that he wanted to include more portraits and maybe some that might not be human. He hinted at that.
Okay.
I know players have been quoting him a lot since this morning. Like, where's my robot avatar that he mentioned? But what was the reasoning to add more crew portraits?
So just to give you more choice, to answer your question specifically, on how you want to make your crew look, we actually also expanded that system under the hood in ways that we aren't using yet with data. And when I say data, just like additional crew portraits to put in there. But yeah, it's the first step in expanding those systems. And you know what? One thing I really like about those systems is there's flavors for everybody. And also, if you just like your crew the way it is, leave it the way it is. Like there's
a robot crew.
Yeah, I know, the robot crew.
Robust.
And for some reason, every time we talk about non-human crews, I think of a snake crew. I don't know why.
A snake? Because of this.
Like Serpentor from the old G.I. Joe. I don't know if I can name other IPs, but too late. There it is.
Yeah, you
like,
can.
Too late. Yes.
They're not direct competitors. Yeah.
You mean G.I. Joe from the 80s isn't competing against us?
Oh, well, no.
Well, not yet.
Not yet. Dun, dun, dun.
Snake crew confirmed.
For maps, we had Proprovka Winter. I know a lot of players they were excited to see it, but it is another variant of a map that we already had. How did you guys pick that map?
Why
And
did
why
we
winter?
winterize
We
Provka?
always have problem pronouncing it.
The P-Dog, as I like to call that map.
P-Dog.
The P-Rover. All right, I always try to be super honest with you. Right this second, I don't remember how that won the short straw to be the one that was winterized.
Like a chat question, right?
Yes,
We'll have to bring this
our
sometime.
level designer, our lead level designer. Yes, it would be a Chad question. I'm sorry for not remembering that off the top of my head. There are a lot of different variants of different maps that have never been shipped, just because we're like, what would this look like if it was muddy, and stuff like that. So that one did draw the coming soon or coming next, and I honestly don't remember why. So I'm sorry about that. We'll look into it.
Terry Lawrence is asking to please have more urban maps.
More urban maps. Big fan of the urban maps of the type of combat, or just want more ways to use the urban camo? Yeah, we'll look into that, regardless of what was the impetus for that question.
Shane Ritterman, I like a Cobra tank, just saying.
A Cobra tank?
Hey.
Well, there is the snake bite.
Yes.
So there you go.
There you go, close.
It's got snake in the title.
Christopher Hines, so Cat Cruz portraits coming soon. I can only wish, but every time I say the word cat, it immediately goes into the garbage bin. So any file, any image.
No feline.
Yeah.
All right.
Sadness. Philip Nelson, why can you guys transfer my computer game to the Xbox? Oh, this is kind of like early beginnings of World of Tanks console overall.
Yeah, no kidding, huh? So you have a World of Tanks PC account, I'm assuming, and you want all of that to be removed from the PC and slammed into your Xbox, so you don't have to start over, I'm assuming, or so that you can catch up or whatever. There's a lot of different business decisions why we can't do that, but one of the main reasons that we can't do that for either PC to Xbox or PC to PS4 is our deals with either Microsoft or Sony, depending on which one of those two pieces of hardware you're enjoying the game on. There's a lot of specifics because those guys, I think the literal business way to put it, allow us to be on their hardware because they make money too. Or not if you play our game completely for free and don't buy anything. And I love all of you that do that. When you climb the trees or just start throwing shells downrange in either multiplayer or war stories or whatever game mode you like, and you haven't given us a dime, awesome. Love to see you there. Love to be killed by you. Hope I get to kill you too. But it's really a business reason why we can't do that from PC to either one of the consoles.
Dun, dun, dun. I've been saying that a lot.
Is that like I made is that really dun 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 worthy?
I guess. I don't know. I had to
Business.
make something in.
Dun.
I was like, you don't say. I
You
don't know. It's one of
don't
those
say.
leading words that lead into something else, like for you to continue to talk.
Gotcha.
Tell me more, like that.
Should I respond to everything you say now with like, well, Arlette, I'm glad you asked.
Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to address because players were very surprised to see this in store. We actually have a couple bundles with the Fury in it, and earlier this year we made the announcement that the Fury was not coming back, but thanks to the hard work of our publishing and marketing teams, and also the feedback that we received from our players asking it to please bring it back. They work hard. They had to deal with all the paperwork into getting the license back, and so we did. So this is one of the reasons. I know we told you guys that it was not coming back, but honestly, we did not have the license, but they kind of pushed a little bit with the movie company or the production company.
That's Sony Pictures Entertainment, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So they kind of have to get the conversation going, and they were very happy to say that, yeah, you know, if players want it back, we'll definitely do it. So there we go. We got the license back for the Fury.
You know what? We were wrong, and we didn't think we'd get it back. But I'd rather be wrong in this direction. Because you imagine, like, you're getting the Fury in April. Oh, we didn't get the license. No tank for you.
Worse.
That would stink on ice. So we were wrong in the correct direction. I'll give us that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
You're making this so much easier. I think I just skipped one that I want. Okay, Joe Kaufman. When will we get more camouflage options? We have a lot of tanks, you know, hero tanks, and then I call them naked tanks because they don't have any camo. But we haven't really gotten a lot of camouflage added to the game as of late.
So you mean like
just regular, the urban camo spring.
just
winter.
more,
Yeah, just
more of the existing
Yes.
camo types. You know what's really funny is those are harder to approve and agree that we all like the aesthetic than they are to make. So honestly, adding more is probably not a big deal at all. We would just need to figure out which ones we add to which seasons. And I would ask which of the current camos, 2 questions. Which of the current camos that exist in any season are people really a fan of? Because like I said earlier, with different stats, we can also look up and see how often they get purchased for either silver or gold. Which seasons per nation do we feel are lacking? Like, I really wish we had more winter variety for the Czech line.
We don't have a lot of urban, but we don't have a lot of urban maps. Like, we also have to consider the ratio of X amount of summer maps per blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, like, don't make like 500 new urban camouflages
Yeah,
if there's
when
not
there's so
a
many.
bunch of new urban maps. I think that's valid, but that's also weighed. I'm glad you said that, Arlette. You like that segue?
Do tell.
That's weighed on, like, what do people want? Like, just because it gets used maybe less frequently than maybe summer, there might be an urban that people really love. Like, I still, the second I acquire any new American tank, I'm like, where's the digital urban? Just burp there. I know it's not very World War II-y, but man, I really love digital camo. It just looks neat. Little personal fave.
Jared Halywell, will we receive the new French heavy line soon?
Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. I'm going to do that on every question now. That previous question where I responded to a lot of tanks are being addressed, I believe it was about the Type 59 turret. No promise that French heavies and the Type 59 turret are intrinsically bound and will come out at the same time, but that is part of the lump of what new batch of tanks are we releasing and what's right for the game, what's stuff that you guys aren't thinking about yet or don't know that we're working on, and when should that fit into all of our madness. TBD.
TBD. Broke One, custom reticle options.
You know what? We've discussed this a lot too. The interesting thing, and to take a step back, what we mean by custom reticle options, or what I think you mean, so if I'm wrong, pound the keyboard or table or whatever, get our attention, is basically somewhere where you could say, instead of looking like green semicircle for reload, green semicircle for health, white / yellow / orange / red / green, expanding, contracting, dispersion circle for where is my gun aiming and how accurate am I, and am I aiming at a friend, enemy, all that stuff in the center of the screen. What are some of the custom elements we could add to that, either aesthetically or functionally? So that's what I think we're talking about. Aesthetically, we would just need to decide what different aesthetics we would like to make available. Functionally, as well as kind of overlapped with aesthetically, what functionality should any of these new options have that aren't inherent in the default reticle system? Now, that one is a much more dangerous conversation, because I never want like someone, just because they pick custom option B, to suddenly have more information than people that have the default. Conversely, I don't want someone who picks custom option B to suddenly rob themselves of information that the default currently has. And I know it sounds really simple to just change the color or the size or the shape or so on and so forth. That can actually influence the feedback of what you're getting. So all of that is being really balanced, because one of the things we really like about being on the console ecosystem, even with like, God, I'm still impressed that we have 360 versus Xbox One versus Xbox One X all fighting in the same matches. We strive to always listen to and make sure the battlefield is an even playing field. Classic example is like all of the shrubbery in the Xbox One and Xbox One X, how we made sure that the outlines were preserved after we got feedback that it may be an advantage for 360 players to not have that stuff. Like that's another part of this that we have to all consider. Until we figure all that out, we're not going to add custom options.
There we go. Thank you for that question, or to Broke One, and thank you for that answer. Jack Cam, any Japanese artillery coming?
Japanese artillery. It's funny you say that, because again, I'm lurking on a lot of the venues that we can get feedback on the internet. And man, artillery are polarizing, aren't they? Like whenever anybody mentions anything artillery in any kind of venue, it seems like they're basically saying, "Come at me, bro." Regardless of which side of the fence they're on. So for that specific nation of new artillery, I don't have any information that I'm willing to share right now on a live stream. But man, artillery are polarizing. You either love them or you hate them. Go play War Stories. Check them out.
Dun, dun. Gully Ranger, Jeff, all caps, and there's an exclamation point.
Hi, Gully.
Can we have an option to, can you scroll down a bit? There you go. Can we have an option to mute the map pinging in-game?
This actually was a feature in mainline, and when I say mainline, I'm referring to the cutting edge of how the game exists in the development environment, which sometimes is broke as heck. It was something that we had tied to profile muting at one point. So like Gully Ranger, if you had muted me, not only would you not hear me on my mic just barfing diarrhea into the universe, you would also not see my my marking pings, and you wouldn't see any of my radio commands. So like if I was going affirmative, grid A1, while yelling, singing My Little Buttercup from Three Amigos, as an example.
Sure.
That was all. We actually disabled that because we thought some people might be, I don't want to hear any of this verbal diarrhea, but I still want to get this non-verbal communication feedback loop that the game allows, the radio commands and the grid marking in the game. Having that as an extra option of like, either mute this specific player's non-verbal feedback, i.e. grid marking and radial, or mute everybody's. I don't want to see any of that bing or ding or cling. That's something we can definitely look into. We'll have to write a ticket for that and see how feasible that is.
Done. As we wait for more questions to come in, because I do see a bunch of repeats. Players were asking when the maps were coming back. Make sure you, at the end of the stream, you rewatch it again. Jeff answered that question, and it involves 4.5. Let's talk a bit about battle tiers. We had to post this fabulous chart
Whoa!
In the forum.
Look at that!
Yeah, I know. It goes up to 3 pages. So why do you guys adjust the battle tiers for maps?
You know what? Throw that. Get rid of that piece. Hell with that piece of paper. Just flip the table again, but I can't because I'm tied to it with a chain.
Yes. Flip with it.
There's let's talk about extremes to make a point. I'm gonna take let's take province, and now let's take Heilbronn or Thiepval Ridge. Picture those 3 maps in your mind. We got some big guys, and then we have a really tiny guy who's like a crater. Now imagine province at tier 10, and imagine Thiepval Ridge or Heilbronn at tier 1. Remember the visibility range of all the tanks we're talking about, and remember the speeds on average. I know some are faster than other for those tiers. Now I know there's a whole bunch of gray area, like the entire game in between those 2 extremes, but I'm bringing those up for a point. If we made province a tier 10 map, which I do want to try actually, you would probably see the entire enemy team during the initial countdown, because the visibility range on tier 10s is astronomical by comparison to tier 1. And that map is basically a hurt locker, where like you and I are doing this, waiting for the countdown. That's part of the reason I kind of want to do it, is just to watch the maelstrom of chaos. That's why we don't do that. On the other hand, the massive, huge, gigantic maps and the super itty-bitty noob tanks, love you all at tier 1, but not only would you never see the enemy, and if you guys all flanked to the east while everyone else flanks to the west, you'd never see the enemy. It would take you 8 million years to get back to the base once it started getting capped. And you would actually start losing complete contact with all your teammates if you tried to actually do pincher movements, because the battlefield is gigantic for the class of radios and visibility range and gun ranges and all that stuff. So we try to balance the maps to the battle tiers of the vehicles based mostly on 3 aspects. How fast do they move? How far can they shoot? How far can they see? And that's really the top level. Now, that's obviously a gross simplification because we're 75% the way through an hour stream. There's other details, but that's, we then massage it based on how well they're doing, depending on the tiers of the tanks. Like, sometimes we might see a map that is really skewing, let's say, 75-25 in terms of victory rate for Team 1, as an example. But only at the higher tiers, so we might just clip off the higher tiers so they can only play the lower tiers, or other variables. But that is kind of gives you just a beginning perspective on how we make those decisions.
I'm looking at the chart right now, and it looks like Mines is the one that hits every single battle, tier 1 through 10.
Mines is really quality, right? Like if you take that hill, and it also is this huge divider.
Everyone rushes to take on that hill every single time.
Have you ever had the hill get ignored, and then finally one team takes it, and all of a sudden you're like, well, they just won.
I've never had a game like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you have?
A couple times. I try to take
Every time
Lighthouse.
it's like,
And if I'm really being brave, I take the town. But yeah, the hill's where it's at. But yeah, the Mines, man. Mines is a quality map in terms of just its battle efficacy across all the tiers. It's not too big, it's not too small. It has a really nice occluding volume, the hill. So like you could have a whole battle going on at the lighthouse and at the town, and they can't really engage with each other, but they're aware it's occurring because of the visibility. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Samas from Twitch, next rank battle matches?
Yeah, let's do it. I don't know. Do you know?
No. And you know what? When we have ranked battles, we usually release the information about a week ahead, or before it happens. So if we have information, we'll give it to you. That was a lame answer.
I really don't know. I really don't know.
I don't, yeah, but I know we were thinking of some coming up, so.
We got a lot of positive feedback on that previous rank match.
Yeah, they really liked it. Although players were saying that maybe we should do a tier 8 next time.
All right, I think that's fair.
Yeah.
I think another thing we fixed is more placement matches, so that you don't end up like just shoved in iron because you looked at it. You know what I mean? In hindsight, oops, like that just makes you feel like the game is basically telling you suck, even though you didn't even really want to play the game to be told if you suck or not. That's on us, not you.
Is that a honest notification we have to implement next time? I mean,
that's actually part of it. Well,
you suck. I'm sorry.
We don't want. Nobody plays a game so that it can look at you and give you the middle finger and laugh at you. That's not why you play games. So yeah, we're fixing that.
Jonas Forsback. I miss Ring Coast. Bring it back.
Okay.
Any updates on tech trees we don't have? Which includes the Italian tech tree and the Polish tech tree.
I wish I could talk. Okay, so I'm looking at the game right now. There's no reason to cut to the game. And then if I hit this button, now I'm on the tanks tab. Now I'm going up and down on all these nation flags. There is a part of me that does not want to get fired, that so wants to talk about what you're not seeing here, but I will not. I'm going to leave it at that. Next question.
I almost squeezed some information out.
No, don't do it!
Beta 582 is I'm supposed to say, is there any consideration going to be given to give some old premiums that have been power creeped a little TLC?
Again, the balance video I did, there's one thing that I am really, and not just me, the entire design team, the entire company is like staring at, is making sure that we're not putting ourselves into our own arms race. Since I don't know how many of you have seen the video, an arms race is defined where you say like, this tank's nerfed. Okay, it's better. Oh, now it's too good. Okay. And then it's just all of a sudden where it was a game of golf, where it's like 18 holes with par 4 average. Now it's pinball, where everyone's getting 8 billion. You know what I mean?
In a robot suit.
But you haven't fixed balance, right? Like you just made the numbers bigger.
No.
So we're analyzing all that stuff, and again, hearkening back to the 59 turret and to a heavy line for one of the nations. And we're looking at all of this power creep and all of these balances. I'm not saying there is power creep, but I'm looking at all of the numbers and seeing what we're doing to make sure there's no ramifications. Those are all being considered at once, which is not a promise that they'll all be dealt with at once. Vague, but the best I can give you.
Any upcoming on-track events? This comes from Brett Donor. Paint God on his developer Q&A stated that you should look up to May for more information about that. And then I'm gonna try to, there you go. Shane Ritterman again. He's dropping all the questions. Hey devs, please, in all caps, give me a test server so where I can play tanks before we buy. Kind of like a preview.
Oh, try before you buy?
Yeah.
No, I'm sorry. Like your own private server? I don't think that's what you mean. You mean a way to just try out, like if I went into the premium tech tree and I saw a tank that was available and I'm like, well, I don't know if I like it. Not only could I hit the triangle button if I'm on the PS4 or the Y button if I'm on an Xbox and check out its armor values and everything, I could actually field it into battle. Yeah, we don't have any plans for anything like that. And I'm sorry for just being the blunt nose, snarky on a live stream. I'm not trying to be a dick. As naturally as that comes sometimes. But yeah, we don't have any real plans for anything like that right now.
Yeah, surprises are coming on 2018, so I think the amount of work that's being done with the development team right now, it's focused
elsewhere.
Magic happens. Players are still asking if there's anything to be done to Matchmaker.
Oh, actually, we're reevaluating the Matchmaker for a version in the future to be determined. We've looked at a brand new variant of the Matchmaker. We've ran it, and by we, I mean a very smart engineer, which is infinitely smarter than me in terms of, God, every way except for a charming smile, is looked at its performance, its efficacy in a full capacity server, meaning our high CCU times. Does it cause starvation at low CCUs? And what I mean by that is if the population's at one of our lower times, does it actually make people wait so long? Because it's like with this population of people, I don't know how to make a fair match. All of that stuff. So there is a pretty significant matchmaking improvement being evaluated, not just in terms of what are the optimum matches or how does it make match criteria and have match decisions? What does it do on high performance times and on low, when all you guys and gals are asleep? What does it do then? What does it do to the people that want to play? All that kind of stuff. So coming soon.
Derek Stekowicz, could you give us a yes or no if artillery stun will be developed like on PC and if new Russian heavies coming?
I'm going to answer.
Two questions.
Yeah, you stole. First question, just because you were so honest and straightforward with what you wanted, the answer is no. But I'll tell you why. We looked a lot at the pros and cons, hearkening before to a previous conversation we had about the artillery and the polarizing love-hate they give. What we're finding with stun rounds with a lot of different variability, and what I mean by that is tuning them in different ways, is it is taking what I call the law of conservation of fun and taking the fun away from everybody. So at once, where before you have an artillery that can get a tank that decides to stop to take a shot or forgets to occlude on where a possible artillery strike line is, and in the current game, you can take advantage of the fact that you position yourself correctly and that you have the dispersion, whatever, to pull the trigger and maybe even take that combatant out of the battlefield and being really noisy in the process and letting everyone know the artillery player is good, so on and so forth. And then that other guy blew up. The person who blew up, in all likelihood, didn't know at least where the arty was and is now a husk and is probably like, the hell with this game, I hate artillery, give me a stun round. Reasonable response, you just died. Next time, I'm not trying to say next time do anything else, but realize that you have to, during the countdown, what I always do is look and see how many arty there are and plan accordingly in terms of my positioning and aiming and all that kind of good stuff. It's part of the game. Changing that into a stun round, exact same scenario. What's going to happen is Artie's going to pull a trigger. Let's say bullseye connects on you. You're going to get stunned. Your battle efficacy is going to drop by whatever percentage we decide is right. The Artie's friends are going to know you're stunned, and now basically like being a fish in a bowl full of piranha, they're probably going to take advantage of that. And where you think you're like, yeah, I have a chance to survive, you actually can get picked apart. And I've actually been looking, and a lot of us have been looking at the different analysis, quantitative, not really qualitative in terms of how people feel about it, on how this is being used in the PC in different versions. And that's now making you frustrated in a different way, and also made the Artie, who did everything right for an artillery player, and took away a little bit of that efficacy in terms of helping the player of like, took him out. All right, guys, go move forward. It's more like, hey, teammates, I hope you're on the ball because I stunned that guy. And that's just not worth it in my lead designy brain opinion. Full transparency, all this stuff is like, it's like cooking. It's seasoned to taste. If at the end of the day, after all the play testing, we find new information, we'll react to that information. But right now, your short answer is no. The long answer at the end of it is the why. Mic drop. I forgot the other question. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, we are actually running.
Oh,
so
well,
we're trying to get more questions.
I hope that was the question you really wanted to answer.
Gully Ranger says, "Oh, thank you, Jeff." And you say,
Oh, new Russian heavy's coming. Look at my
Yeah.
previous responses on all the tank stuff we're doing.
Rechargeable consumables, we've said no.
Nope.
Are you guys gonna, or the few that got free garage slots in the morning, are you gonna keep them? More information on that in the forums. I don't think that's a possibility. But again, we'll share that information in the forums.
Yeah, I can't speak to that.
Joe Kaufman, are we gonna have weekly bits as promised after implementation of the flag system?
Repeat that question again.
Weekly bits. Before it was stated during the Paint Gods developer stream that the flag feature was pretty much the foundation of what we were gonna do in the future.
Oh,
Weekly
customizable wiggly
Yes.
bits. Okay, we're looking at that. Like, as all of you hardcore players know, tanks are really effing complex in terms of their geometry, especially if you're on an Xbox One X or a PS4 Pro. Not that the other guys can't see how cool the tanks are, but they're on the top of the food chain in terms of hardware, chugging out graphics onto their 4K TVs. We're trying to define what a spot could be. Is this a box spot? Is this a helmet spot? Is this a log spot? What wiggly bits go where? Like, I don't want you to be able to bisect your turret with a log that was meant to go where a helmet, you know what I mean? Like, if you put a log where a helmet's supposed to be and all of a sudden you look like derpy McLog tank, like, we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen. It's much more complicated than the flags were, which was pull goes here, flag max size this, put pretty art on it. I mean, it was harder than that, but that is a lot easier in terms of real estate on a tank. So it's much more complex. Unfortunately, it's not like now that we have flags, just open the floodgates on wiggly bits. I want it too, it's just not as easy.
Yeah, when it comes to anything with the UI in game, it's a challenge.
Well, I'm not even talking about the UI is another good point. I'm talking about just like physically on a tank.
Oh, do tell. Why is it good?
Were you even listening to me? God, I hope you guys were listening because, man, she tuned me out. Just a normal day.
Last question of the stream. Yeah, free training rooms ever? Question mark.
Possible. Maybe we could do that as an event or something.
That would be nice if it could be done for an event, but what about people who actually organize their own tournaments for training?
Are you talking about the tournament system itself or just the training
That
rooms?
too. Both.
So, well, you could always shut off your training room so it only allows the people in that you want it to. What I'd be more concerned about a permanent solution is one of the promises for premium time purchasers is training rooms ahoy, right? And so
True.
I don't want people that are buying premium time to not only accelerate their earnings, but to get access to the training rooms to be like, why did I pay for this? Go to hell, Wargaming. You know what I mean? So as an event, it is possible, but I doubt we'd ever just say like, it's free forever.
Samuel Bird. Put a white flag on French tanks.
Oh,
You're a bad tanker.
I think French came in number 2,
Oh.
leaving Germany and USA at the bottom.
Yes.
Allons-y, vive la France.
Anyway, I think we are out of time. Thank you so much for joining.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for listening.
Yes. quick recap. Don't forget, 4.4 update is out as of this morning. Make sure you go into console.worldoftanks.com to check the build notes and all the information that was added to this update. We have feedback threads under the game developer section in the forums. Please, 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 I'm begging you, visit the forums and share your feedback, comments, concerns, or if you have a suggestion, please go ahead and drop it in those links. I'm actively collecting all that information for today and tomorrow. I've been awake since 4 in the morning and I'm still in one piece, so it's been a really, really great day. Yes, thank you. I want food too. I'm hungry.
You want food? Oh, let's get you fed.
Yay! Crunchies for everyone. My name is Rybot01, and I will see you in the forums. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you next week. No, next week? No, this Thursday. I always get thrown out because this is a special dev stream.
Am I on Thursday?
No, Daryl Higa is going to come.
Oh, Daryl Higa.
Yes, because he's going to talk about war stories, spoils of war.
The first person that asks Daryl Higa, like, what question? We got to ask a question. The first person to ask Daryl Higa, what is his least favorite tank?
Ooh, don't say
Let's track this.
because-
I'll give you something cool. I'll actually give you something cool. There'll be something cool. It might have treads on it. That's a promise. What's your least favorite tank? Write that down.
Poor Daryl. Okay.
All right.
I will see you Thursday, guys. Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.
The year is 1947. Germany reigns. The war never ended. History has changed, and it's time to fight back. Prepare for a war experience like no other. Immerse yourself in an epic campaign and finish the fight in 3 unique stories. Rewrite history. War Stories, Spoils of War.